So I'm talking about this phrase real and unreal. And, this question, is pain real? Pretty basic, right? And how the answer is, yeah, pain is real. And then, no, actually, pain is not real. Is it also the answer? And then that, becomes, well, pain is real and unreal. And that's the point. And that everything that shows up is real and unreal. And that the showing up of things is real and unreal. So everything that's a thing, everything that appears, is this real and unreal. It has real and unrealness to it. Which is just, what is that? It doesn't make sense, right? Certainly not to a person. Real and unreal doesn't make sense. How can it be real and unreal? No, it doesn't. But that's what it is. And in a sense, that is what this communication is, or this kind of non-dual communicating. It's pointing to the real and unrealness of what appears, and how that goes against the me experience. Me is absolutely the experience that what appears is real. This appearance is real, namely, I'm real. And the appearance is that I'm here and there's all this stuff in front of me or around me. They call what's going on. And then I think, well, is it really around me, or is it inside me, or is it, where exactly is it? I try to contemplate that or grok it, figure it out, but it's not going to get figured out because the answer is it's real and unreal, and it's outside and it's inside, it's everywhere, it's nowhere, it's everything and it's nothing, all this stuff. We tend to have these kind of expressions, these like real and unreal. In talking about non-duality, these things come up, these contradictions. It's this and that. Well, that's the communication, and that's the dissolving of the me in that communication, because the me is just the me doesn't exist, or we could say it exists and doesn't exist, like everything else. But the me, the experience of me, the me quality, the person, is just this activity or this energy of defining everything as this and that, perceiving the appearance, perceiving what is, as in terms of this and that, and defining for the system what this is, what is this, what is that, how do they go together, what do they mean? That's the me, this moving operation of defining everything in terms of this and that. And in terms of me and that, me and everything else. Well, I and that, right? And then so a non-dual communication that's famous would be, I am that, right? It's closing the gap. So the me is that gap. The gap between I, me, and everything. The gap between this and that. Between here and there. So the non-dual pointing is always just, okay, that's the way the machine works, that's the language system, spits everything out in that form, this and that. It's called duality. And you know, it says, gives a readout of what is real and what is not, what is meaningful, what isn't, all that stuff. But the non-dual pointing is pointing to the fact that, you know, this and that is an artificial construct. It's an operating system, or it's a way that the operating system functions in terms of this and that. It's the language, the computer language, you can say, of the me experience. But there isn't any this and that, which is what this is, the communication of non-duality. Just pointing to, okay, this and that business, it's a way of doing the party. It's a way of perceiving, let's say, or a way of holding oneself. There's no word. It's just I don't know. It's a particular game. It's the game of me. Well, the game of me is I'm here in this place. There's everything that there is out there, and they're never the twain shall meet. They're two different things. That's the game of me. Everything is this and that. Everything is known to be what it is and different than everything else. I mean, everything is a bunch of things. There's a world of things, a world of places, a world of space and time. That's the me. And it's a software system, a means of configuring a world, of placing a pattern, putting all of this, the raw material of what is, which there isn't any material. It would converting, or let's say creating a world of experience that's made out of these things, the result of this software system produces things, produces experience, produces a world of time and space, and a world of logic and cause and effect, and history and knowing of everything, and a story of where everything's going and where it's been and how it is. Okay, so this communication is just always pointing to the fact that it's an artificial, you could use the word artificial, because it's not the thing which isn't a thing, which is just what is. It doesn't have all this story business to it. It doesn't have all this, it's not made out of this and that. This and that are not two. And that's what is. That's the only thing that we can point to as being what is. And, the way it's put is that the me is not what is. It's what isn't. It's the story about what is. It's the software production version of what appears. And, pointing to the storiness of it, the artificiality, the unreal in that sense. Not alive, not here, not what is. Even though it is what is, because there's only what is. And that's a kind of conundrum. It's going to be paradoxical to language and to the me system, right? It can't be put together. It doesn't need to be put together because it just is. It is together. There's nothing that ever came apart except language, already takes everything apart. For language, everything is already apart. That's the way language works. It's the way the mind works. Cuts everything into pieces and puts them together in forms of knowledge and, sentences and words. But that's the operating system, and that's the experience of me, which, as we see, is a production. It's kind of a show, a story made by this mind system, this language system, which has rules, which is duality. And so that's why this communication of non-duality is always in terms of these kind of things that don't really make sense, because they don't go into the system. They sort of blow up the system in a way. And that's kind of the idea. But then you also have this, as I just said it sounds like, well, there's some communication here, and then there's some process going on when the communication is heard by someone, and there's an undoing of the me that comes is the result of that. Yeah, and so a lot of people would just say, well, no, that just isn't happening. That's not, there is no me, there's nothing called process. There is nothing going on. And that's true, as people would say it. Some speakers that are, very, very clear, as some would put it, they would just say, no, there's no process here. There's no undermining of a me. There's no dying of a me. There's no me going away. Okay, and then other speakers would say, yeah, there is no, but there also kind of appears to be, so there's an appearance of a process going on of a kind, and an undermining of the me, and the me seeming to be here in operation in one moment, and then another moment when it's not. And then, as I would say it, it's both of those. There is a process we can talk about. It's why I'm talking. It's kind of what this is about. It's communication. Does involve an experience of somebody talking and somebody hearing and some video existing and playing its thing. And along with that is the appearance of a me, a kind of identification with a story that is here one apparent moment and may seem to be gone in another moment, or may seem to progressively get thinner, or may seem to involve some story of all kinds of things, glimpses or frustrations or, revelations or whatever, or whole process of inquiry and yoga and whatever. Any story that you can tell about all this. Yeah, from just the way I would say it, and it just seems to me the way I would express it. Yeah, there is that. There is that experience of being a me, and there's an experience of what we would call waking up from the dream. That all has, it's there. And at the same time, no, it is not. It's absolutely not there, because there isn't anything here. There is no story here. There's nothing happening here. There's no time here. That's all in the story. And the story is inside itself, and the story includes everything, and it's nothing, because there isn't anything. There's just this. The things, again, are in the story. So it's a story that doesn't exist, that kind of projects itself to itself, talks itself to itself, whatever, dances itself to itself as itself, and there is no self, because there's just this. All the selves, the idea of the self is something born in the artificial software language of the self. And that doesn't make sense, and it can't be, extrapolated any further than just saying this nonsensical thing in all these different ways that we can, going back to the old Hindu, idea of it's all just God coming to know itself, or playing the world, playing as appearance. We don't want to use the word God. We're not allowed. But, these are just ways of saying, or ways of talking. But the point is, it's not going to be understood. How can it be that there's a process going on that doesn't exist? That there's a story appearing that doesn't exist, that is real and unreal. And there's no one to understand that. But there's